It is Columbus Day, and we are in studio. This is a new show. It is not a rerun. We decided, Louis, the idea of taking the day off to commemorate the day when someone, quote, discovered a continent that had millions of people already living on it, and eventually exterminated almost all of them through a genocide. Something about taking a day off for that just didn't seem right today.
Well, I guess if you consider it taking a day off in honor of those who were wronged, it might not be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, maybe that would be a little bit different. Let's talk about the continuing government shutdown. Republicans, this is getting barely any media coverage. Republicans actually rigged the House rules in the middle of the night, just before the start of the government shutdown, to essentially lay the groundwork for the continuation of the shutdown. And Democratic Congressman Chris Van Hollen was inquiring about this in the House. And the long and short of it, Louis, is that the rules were changed in the House such that rather than any member of the House being able to to request a vote on a resolution to start the government functioning again, only the Speaker of the House, which happens to be a Republican, John Boehner right now, or John Boehner's specific designee, would be able to call for a vote on that. And this is flat out setting up more obstructionism, laying the groundwork for keeping the shutdown going as long as Republicans want. It is their shutdown, remember. And here's the end of the exchange between Chris Van Hollen and Republican Jason Chaffetz, who was acting speaker pro tempore at the time where this inquiry took place.
The Rules Committee, under the rules of the House, changed the standing rules of the House to take away the right of any member to move to vote to open the government, and gave that right exclusively to the Republican leader. Is that right?
House adopted that resolution.
The
chair is now prepared to entertain 1 minute.
I make my motion, Mr. Speaker. I renew my motion that under the regular standing rules of the House, Clause 4, Rule 22, that the House take up the Senate amendments and open the government now.
Under Section 2 of House Resolution 368, that motion may be offered only by the majority leader or his designee.
Mr. Speaker, why were the rules rigged to keep the government shut down?
The gentleman will suspend.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think
the chair will now entertain.
Democracy has been suspended.
The gentleman will suspend.
So there it is. And remember, hey, Louis, the problem here is Obama. Obama's the problem. You've got rule changes going on specifically designed to prevent the advance of a vote to reopen the government until such time at which John Boehner or whoever he designates specifically says, we will now allow this discussion. You could have every single member of the House of Representatives in agreement on reopening the government until John Boehner decides, let's have the vote. There is no vote.
And I'm sure there are still plenty of people who think that this is a good thing. I mean, those who helped with it. And I mean, it seems that we know already that this is hurting Republicans. It's really, at this point, it just seems like this is just malicious.
The shutdown is hurting Republicans. The problem is that this really should be one of the top stories around the shutdown, which is, that right before it started, there was this specific rule change to create this specific situation. It's not being discussed. Most corporate media is not touching this at all. There is essentially no coverage. Most people who are aware of what's going on with the shutdown, right? I'm already self-selecting. I'm already grouping out the people who are following the shutdown to some extent. They have no idea about this rule change and where's the coverage? This is one of the main issues going on right now, which it's important because it really shows the underlying sentiment and goals of this entire thing. And it should be covered.